Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Derek and today we're going to be talking about the Nord Stage 3 and specifically talking about, is the Nord Stage 3 easy to use? And I will start off by saying right off the bat, in my opinion, yes, the Nord Stage 3, relatively speaking, comparing it to other keyboards on the market, the Nord Stage 3 is easy to use. Of course, a lot of people look at it and they see all these buttons and stuff like that. And some people really, and knobs really, and people get, really intimidated by all the knobs and stuff like that. But it's actually very easy to use and very intuitive once you understand how the Nord architecture works. I do want to say, as we're getting started here, that this is more of a talking video and not a playing video. If you came to this video to just hear what the Nord sounds like, that's not the focus of this. That's not the focus of this video. So tons of videos and stuff online where people are playing the Nord. You can hear the sounds, but today we're going to be talking about the functionality, how it works, the workflow, and so on and so forth, and just talking about that. And you can make a buying decision as to whether or not this is the keyboard for you, because it's not just sounds that are important when you buy a keyboard, but how easy it is to use, the workflow, and is it able to do the things that you need it to do. Those things become very, very important once you get past kind of the Cinderella phase and you're just so in awe of your new keyboard. And then when you start sitting down and trying to do various things and find out, oh, it can't do that, or it can't do this, or whatever, that's when some of the frustrations and stuff can really start to set in. So let's talk about the Nord Stage 3, how it's organized. Now, the Nord Stage 3 has a few different sections. Now, this section here is the piano section. It's actually labeled piano, and everything in this section, in this grayed out section here, is going to be your piano sound engine. It's going to have everything in here has to do with your piano sounds, right? And here's a volume for your piano section, and here's an on-off switch. Turn it on and turn it off. So this is your piano section. Then you have an organ section, and it's labeled organ, and you have this grayed out section here, and everything in this section is your organ section. Okay, and then the organ section also has a rotary speaker effect, but the rotary speaker effects can actually be added to your organ section, your piano section, or your synth section. So let's talk about your synth section. So then you have a synth section. This is your third section, and it's labeled synth, and it's all grayed out here. And here's you can turn it on and off just like the piano section. Now it's off. You can't hear anything. And this is your volume for your synth section. So this is your synth section, and I would recommend that you learn about synths so that you can understand the synth section in the Nord Stage 3. In other words, it would do you some good to understand, filter envelopes and stuff like that. It would do some good for you to understand release or attack, decay, sustain, and release. It would do some good to understand those things because LFOs and stuff like that, how they work, oscillators, sub-oscillators, all of those various parameters, you want to learn that stuff. You just want to sit down and kind of go through that material. There's a gentleman by the name of Mark, and he has a channel that's called My Keys to Music, and he actually goes over, synthesis and describes synthesis and goes in detail, and, he doesn't go over every single thing, but just going on and watching his video on My Keys to Music would really help you understand synth and stuff if you don't already. I think that the synth section of the Nord Stage 3 is one of the most underutilized and one of the least talked about sections of the Nord Stage 3, but it's actually very, very powerful, and the fact that they give you these parameters in a stage piano is quite impressive. Now let's talk about what the Nord Stage 3 is really quickly. This is a stage piano or a stage keyboard, and that's really the category of keyboard that it is in. It's not an arranger. So an arranger is something where you have, various styles and stuff like that, and you can hit some chords, and you have a little backup band and stuff like that, and backup tracks that follow you. This doesn't have any features like that. So it's not like a Yamaha Genos or anything in the PSR Yamaha line. It's not an arranger. This is not like a digital synthesizer. Yes, it has a synth section, some different things that you can do, but it is not in the same category as a Yamaha Montage or a Modi X or the new Roland Jupiter X. It's not in that same category, so it doesn't have the same deep editing parameters and stuff that you're going to find in a Yamaha montage. It's not going to have the array of different arpeggios and stuff like that. I mean, I think in the arpeggiator, the Yamaha has over 10,000 arpeggios and stuff that you can pick from, and all kinds of different drum patterns and stuff like that that are in the arpeggiator section. This doesn't have anything like that because it is not a synthesizer. Doing deep editing sound design is not what this is for. This is really for the live player, to give the live player the meat and potato sounds that they need to get through their gigs. That's what it's for. It's not a workstation, so it doesn't have a sequencer of any kind. It doesn't have a sampler on it. So like the Core Chronos, you're going to get a sequencer, you're going to get a sampler, you get thousands of sounds on the Core Chronos, tons of space and stuff like that. Like you got an SSD drive and streaming and all kinds of stuff. Very, very powerful keyboard. And I actually did a comparison between this keyboard and the Core Chronos, and basically when I did that video, what I was saying in that video is this keyboard is not in the same category as a Core Chronos, but I get it in the comment section all the time. I see it on other people's pages. How does the Nord Stage 3 compare to the Core Chronos? Or how does the Nord Stage 3 stack up with the Yamaha Montage? Or how does and the reality is they're actually in different categories. You would compare this to the Roland RD2000, or you can compare it to the Yamaha CP series of keyboards. Those are keyboards that are actually in the same category as this keyboard. But those other keyboards, they're not really in the same category. So yes, they have some overlap. They can do some of the same things. They all have piano sounds. They all have synth sounds. They all have, oboe sounds and clarinet sounds and string sounds and stuff like that. So there's some overlap. You can get on them and play them. They all have keys and stuff. You know what I mean? They have some overlap, but they're really not in the same category. It's kind of like comparing a four-door sedan commuter car to a truck and saying, which one should I get? Should I get a truck or should I get a sedan? Well, it kind of really depends on your needs and how you're going to use your car. Yes, they both can get you to work. Yes, they both can get you from work to home. Yes, you can, take the kids somewhere in it. Yes, you can go to the grocery store and put stuff in your car and drive different places. Yes, they both take gasoline and so on and so forth, but they are not really designed for the same person, for the same buyer. If you want to tow a bunch of stuff and use it for construction work, you're going to want a truck. If you're just going to commute back and forth to work and stuff like that, and you want great gas mileage, then you may want a four-door sedan. A sports car would be a different category. You're going to be able to carry less groceries, but it's going to go faster and have more performance, so on and so forth. Keyboards are the same way. They have categories. So a lot of times this keyboard is being compared to the Chronos, and people just look at the price and say, well, the Core Chronos costs less, does more, I'll get a Chronos. But then, you get a manual and it's over 1,000 pages, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is so hard to use and it's so deep, and 9 sound engines, and I got to learn each sound engine individually, and they all work differently, and so on and so forth, and there's an endless amount of parameters and a whole array of different things. And it's like, whoa, all I wanted to do was just play a piano and layer a pad and have some organ sounds and stuff like that. A lot is going to waste in like a Core Chronos if that's what you're doing. So that's the category that this is in. So so you have your piano section, and you have your organ section, and you have your synth section, and then you have an effects section at the very end here, and I'll probably bring up some footage of that so you can see it, because I know it's off the screen. And so it's very easy to use once you understand everything is just kind of broken up into sections. Okay, so in my piano section here, I've got various pianos. I can hit the shift button, and I can access all of my, just by hitting shift and turning a knob, I can access all of my pianos. So I can come here, and this is the Royal 3D, Royal Grand 3D. And then I have my White Grand here. And every piano has a different size. So these pianos are extra large pianos, which means they're bigger samples. So the bigger samples have more detail in them, but they take up more room in your keyboard. So you get 2 gigabytes of storage for your piano section. For your piano section has 2 gigabytes of storage in this section. So you can pick really big pianos, which are going to be more detailed across the whole range of the keyboard. but they're going to take up more room. So you can choose, now this is my an Italian grand. And it's actually large, it's not extra large, so it takes up less room. And then there's, a variety of different pianos that I have in here. Okay. And then after your grand pianos, you get to your upright pianos. And so I like the Bambino upright grand, and it's extra large sample, so it has lots of detail and stuff like that in it. And then you have and I have some other ones in here, and they're going to have less detail, but they're smaller and they take up less room. So one of the beautiful things about the Nord Stage 3 is that, again, since it's designed for the live player, normally when you're playing live, you don't need 2,000 sounds on deck ready to go for a live performance. You can take out any of the sounds that you don't want and put in sounds that you do want and organize them in a way that you can get to them really quickly and really make the keyboard your own. Also, they have off of their website, you can download brand new samples and stuff like that. So they will upload new pianos and stuff like that, and you can just download them, put them in your board, very simply by connecting your keyboard to your computer and putting in the sounds and stuff that you want. Now, I do know that some other brands do offer that as well. They offer sounds that you can get, like the Montage, Yamaha. They offer some sound sections and stuff like that. That you can get and download different, like a Borsendorfer piano, and put it into your keyboard and stuff. They do offer that, but they don't offer anywhere near as many sounds as the Nord website. Now, something about the Nord website too is that not only are you getting a whole lot of sounds, but you're getting high quality sounds as well. So the Yamaha, they have a marketplace where you can actually get a whole bunch of different sounds, but it's a kind of a user marketplace, so anybody who owns the board can design a sound and then upload it to the website. I think it's called Sound Mundo, and then other people can go and download that sound and put it in their board. So they're kind of user sounds and stuff like that. A lot of sounds on there, but it's not like Nord putting a new piano sound on their website, because Nord will go in and they will actually go into a professional studio and they will sample a new grand piano and then take that quality sample and put that on their website. Users that are using it at home, using their stuff at home, they're not, they don't normally have access to, stuff like that where they're actually sampling, these pianos in a studio environment and stuff like that and uploading them. So we're talking about, high quality, just like getting a brand new keyboard. And there are other sounds and stuff available for like the Core Chronos. They got a lot of third-party sounds and stuff like that. And you can go there and download sounds and put them into the keyboard. But a lot of those sounds come with a price. They are not actually free. They're great sounds, some of the best sounds I've ever heard out of a hardware keyboard at all, in some of the Korg stuff, but you are going to pay, $100, $200 and stuff for those sounds. With the Nord, you buy a Nord once and all the sounds and stuff in there, they're free. So this white grand sample did not come with this keyboard. This white grand sample was featured in the Nord Grand when the Nord Grand came out. The Nord Grand came out a few years after the Nord Stage 3, and they had the white grand in there. And I heard it being played. I liked it. I went onto the site. I downloaded the white grand and put it into this board. I don't actually have to buy a Nord Grand to get the white grand sound. Somebody who has a Nord Stage 2 can also have the white grand sound in their keyboard. So somebody with Nord Stage 2, somebody with a Nord Stage 3, somebody with a Nord Grand, somebody with a Nord Piano, all of these different people who have various keyboards can actually download the white grand and sound exactly the way I sound when I'm playing mine. So that's one of the benefits of buying a Nord, is you don't have to go in and buy a bunch of sample packs, and there's no subscription fee and stuff like that to have access to other sounds and stuff like you get with Roland and so on and so forth. Costs you more initially up front, but access to more sounds. So, all right, so now we're just here. We're in the piano section, and you got your EPs. So then you can go here, and now you got your EPs as well. Now these are all dry. So there's no effects or anything like that on them. So a bunch of different EPs in here. So a bunch of different sounds and stuff in here. So really do like this here. All these sounds that are in here. And once again, these all have different sizes as well, because they're all in the piano section, and you only get 2 gigabytes. I wish you got a little bit more sounds. I wish you got a little more room. I wish you got more than 2 gigabytes, just so you don't have to go in and download, more stuff multiple times and change stuff out. But again, for a live performance of some sort, you normally don't need that many keyboards, sounds, or sounds on deck. So these are different sounds here. I'm in my digital, and then there's harpsichord sounds. And you can take all these out. If you never use a harpsichord, just take them out. You have more room for other sounds and stuff that you do use. Huh? And then it has a layer section of keyboards. I don't know that these are necessarily made to be played by themselves, but you can layer them with other sounds and stuff like that. So this is your piano section here. Now let's just go back to my grand pianos here, and I can adjust the string resonance, and I can turn on soft release. I've got my pedal noise and stuff like that. I can adjust my keyboard touch here, make it more sensitive, so don't have to hit it as hard in order to get the high velocity. So keyboard touch is right here. I don't really use it, keyboard touch. I just keep it on the default on this keyboard. Now, of course, if I was playing maybe the 88 weighted keyboard, the Nord Stage in 88, then I might, really adjust that. But it's right here in front of you. So you don't have to dive into a menu and, adjust it. You just hit a button and change it. It also has a quick EQ kind of thing here. So I can have it on soft. I can have it on mid, and it brings up the mids. Hit a button, and I can change it to bright. Or turn it off, and now it's at its default. So again, all you have to do is just press a button, and this happens. If I want to change the octave, hit a button. That simple. So this is your piano section. There's some other stuff in there, detune and different things like that. Just not going to go over every single thing, but this is your piano section, and those are the features associated with that. Now I can just turn it off, and I can turn on my organ section here. So now I have a B3 organ. There's a B3, there's a Vox, there's a Farfisa, and there's 2 pipe organs. Let's go back to my B3. That's what's in there. I can turn on my, I like to have the rotary speaker effects on. And I feel like the organ section, the organ sounds in here, the B3 sound specifically is one of the best sounds in a keyboard, hardware keyboard today. I really do like the organ section of this keyboard, and especially for a stage piano, it really it blows the RD2000 that I have. It blows the organ sounds out of the water. It's just, really good. I love the drawbars. The other Nord Stage 3s, they have the digital readouts, and you can just hit the buttons, go up and down, and so on and so forth. That may be your preference, but I really love the organ section of this keyboard. That's actually one of the main reasons why I actually bought it, is because of this organ section. And being a gospel player, this is closer to an actual Hammond B3 than the other keyboards that I have, even the Core Kronos, and most certainly the Montage, which I don't care for the organ in the Montage at all. And then I can adjust my percussion here. So turn the percussion up. So it's got your percussion and stuff there, and then it has just like an organ. It's got your vibrato. It's got 3 vibratos, and it has 3 chorus as well. Your drawbars and stuff like that. You have your different settings. You can have your different registers and stuff set up. Anybody who is at home with an organ will be at home with this as well. And then you have your synth section. So I can just turn on my synth section by hitting this button here. And so this is my synth section. And again, I think you should really study synthesis, so that you can understand, oscillators, LFOs, and stuff like that. So you can really operate your synth section. But also in the synth section is also not just your synth stuff, but also all of your regular, all of your samples. So you've got regular samples in here. So let's see, we can go to, we got some Mellotron stuff. So we got our basses category here. So you got basses and stuff. Now these are dry. They're dry, and you would add effects and stuff like that to them later. But it does have basses and different, just a variety of really just a variety of different sounds. Those are basses. We've got banjo, guitar, stuff like that. A variety of different sounds in your sample section. And of course, you can take out the sounds you don't need, don't want, put in sounds that you do want, add different effects to them, layer them, all kinds of different things, and really make the keyboard your own. So let's come back into my piano section. My piano section here, and something I want to show you here is just you have a panel A and a panel B. So basically the way that works is if you think of the Nord Stage 3 and everything that you see here and all the parameters, you have a panel A with all the parameters and stuff, and then there's a panel B, so it's like having basically 2 of the same keyboard. So you can have 2 different pianos layered, 2 different organs layered, and 2 different synth sounds layered, and you can have them being played all at the same time if you would like to. So right now it just has panel A, and that's just piano. But I'll go to panel B. I'll turn that off, and let's just pick a different, because now I have 2 white grands playing. But I'm going to change panel B to, I'm just going to choose a different piano. We're going to do layer. So now I've got an electric piano on B. And on panel A is my piano, my acoustic piano. So I could do that, switch to panel B, switch to panel A. And if you notice, the keys are sustaining. So when we go to panel A and then go to panel B, the piano, actually the acoustic piano, it stays. So it's got that seamless sound switching or seamless sound transitions in this board. Now, of course, I can put them together. So now I have panel A and panel B. At the same time. So right now I'm on panel A. So everything that I adjust, or now I'm on panel A. The one that's blinking is panel A. The one that's blinking is the panel that I'm looking at. So if I want to just turn on the reverb for panel A, now the grand piano has reverb, but the panel B, there's no reverb on it. Now I can turn on the reverb. Now I have reverb on both of them. All right, so I can layer them and I can adjust their various volumes. So right now B is blinking, which means it's the electric piano volume that I'm controlling. And I can split it if I wanted to. I could put just the electric piano up here and not have it down here if I wanted to, and then have the regular piano, the acoustic piano. I could have it over the whole keyboard if I wanted to, or I could split it and do whatever I wanted to do. So that offers a lot of different flexibility. Now that's not just with the piano section, but that's also with the organ section. It has a panel A and a panel B, and your synth section has a panel A and a panel B. And one of the things I do want to talk about here really quickly so I would just talk about the polyphony really quickly. So in your organ section gives you full polyphony. In other words, you can lay on every key all at once at the same time. You will never run out of voices in your organ section. And your piano section gives you 120 voice polyphony. So it's quite a bit of polyphony for a piano. So you can layer, when you layer both of your, when you have a panel A and a panel B, so you have 2 pianos going at the same time, of course your polyphony is then, it's effectively, it's cut in half, because it's going to split the polyphony between the 2 keyboards, between the 2 piano sounds. But 120 total polyphony, 120 voices total polyphony in your piano section, full polyphony in your organ section, and then there's 34 polyphony in your synth section. And the polyphony being only at 34 for this price in the synth section actually catches a lot of flack by a lot of people, because, hey, 34 is pretty low. The Yamaha Montage is 128 voice polyphony in the FMX sound engine, and 128 voice polyphony in the AWM2 sound engine and whatnot. And so it's like, why would you only get 34 in the synth section? So it catches a lot of flack. But what I do want to say is that, yes, it is 34 voice polyphony and it sounds low, especially on a spec sheet, but in actual practice, it turns out being okay for me, especially when we're talking about just live. It's not, I'm not using a sequencer and triggering a bunch of sounds and stuff from it to make it sound like a whole band is playing. We're talking about just live. It turns out being okay. Not only that, But you have to be careful with spec sheets because yes, it's 34 voice polyphony, but when I hit this note here, this is one voice. The sine wave here, this is one voice. You know, this is the triangle here. It's one voice. Let's go here. Let's take the sound for instance. So it's the flute. And it only takes up one voice per note. When you have the architecture of like the montage, you're not necessarily getting one voice per note. You get one voice per element. So in a Yamaha sound, it can be made up of several elements. So and then that sound that you're hitting can be made up of several parts. So you may have various parts which are made up of various elements. So you maybe hit a note and you think, okay, well, I've got 128 voice polyphony. I shouldn't run out of voices. But in reality, when you hit a note, you may actually be triggering 8 voices all at the same time, or 9 voices, or 12 voices, or, you know, in order to get that one sound. So I actually run out of polyphony a lot of times faster on the montage than I do on this keyboard, because you're truly getting 34 voices here, because these are, you know, it's one sound at a time. So just have to be careful when you're looking at spec sheets and whatnot. You know, the Roland is the same way. They have their partials, so their sounds are made up of 4 different stereo partials, and so you may be hitting one note, but the note that you're hitting is actually using up 4 voices at one time, and then when you layer those together, now you're using up 8 voices at one time. You know, so you can run out of voices, polyphony, on a lot of these keyboards a lot faster than you might think, because of the way the sounds are put together. But in the Nord, the sounds are, you know, fairly simple and easy. Not really that complex. They don't take up that much room, because I think you only get 480 megabytes for your sample memory, and the samples aren't really that big. They do lack a lot of the detail that some of the other keyboards and stuff would have. So the 34 voice polyphony, I find it to be okay for live use. So and another thing, the reason why it works is because they all have their own polyphony. The piano section has 120 voices, and it doesn't take any polyphony from the synth section or the organ section. The organ section has full polyphony, and it doesn't take any polyphony from the other section. So I can literally turn on all of the I can turn on all the sound engines at once. And not get any voice dropouts. I can literally have 2 organs, 2 pianos, and 2 things in the synth section and not really get note dropouts and stuff like that, because they're all on their own separate sound engines. So they like the RD2000. That's not the case. It has 2 separate sound engines. It's got the V piano sound engine, which is the full polyphony, so you can lay on all the keys and not running out of any voices. It then has like a supernatural sound section that has 128 voices, and every other sound in the keyboard uses that same polyphony. So your strings, your pads, your organs, everything else, it's in that section. If it's not in the V piano section, they're all sharing the same 128 voices. So I get more note dropouts on that keyboard than this keyboard. So that's also something to consider. So in actual practice, the polyphony and stuff in here, because they're actually separate, I actually get less problems and have less issues with this than some of my other boards. So is the Nord Stage 3 keyboard easy to use? I have to say Yes, the fact that it has all of the knobs and stuff like this in front of you, and all of the buttons and stuff in front of you. It's got a live mode, so you can, program your sounds and stuff that you want and arrange them so that they're available for you at a button push. As there, let's see. So it's got a bunch of different sounds and stuff, and you can just program them, put them in the sections and stuff that you want. You can organize them however you want to. You can erase the sounds that you don't want, keep the sounds that you do want. So as far as being a live piano, a live keyboard, this keyboard excels and is excellent. I love the workflow, love how everything is just right in front of you. It's a very, very fun keyboard to play. Now, if you want to get into a lot of deep editing parameters, so if I don't like the way this upright piano sounds, and I want to just, edit some of the, the EQ and stuff, and I want something deeper than just being able to go from soft to mid to bright, but I really want to get in there and deeply edit the stuff, or I've got a grand piano sound in here. So let's say I have a grand piano sound in here, and I want to change it so that the lid of the piano comes down or goes up or something like that. Then this is not the keyboard for you. It does not have those kind of deep editing type of parameters. You would literally have to find a piano that you like and use that piano, and there's only a few editing things that you can do to the existing samples that are inside. The same thing applies with the organs, and the synth section is a marvelous section. The stuff is right in front of you here with your knobs and stuff, and there's a lot of editing things you can do in your synth section. But if you compare the synth editing parameters in this to a synthesizer like the Yamaha Montage, the Yamaha Montage has way more parameters that you can edit. The Core Kronos is going to have far more parameters and stuff in your synth section that you can edit. It's got 9 different sound engines and a whole bunch of different synthesizer sound engines. So you can play the MS-20 sound engine, or you could do the Poly 6 sound engine. You could do the AL1 sound engine. I mean, it just completely dwarfs anything that the Nord has to offer. So if you're looking at getting into deep synth sound parameters and stuff, you want like a Jupiter X, or you want a Yamaha Montage, maybe even a Core Kronos. Those keyboards are going to be more suitable for that. If you're looking for, hey, I want to record on my keyboard and I want to, build out whole songs and have bass and drums and sax and all kinds of stuff, and I want my keyboard to play it, I want to program all the parts. This is a stage piano. It doesn't have a sequencer. So you need to be looking at something like a Core Kronos or the Roland Phantom, because you will be able to do that on those keyboards. If you want to have thousands and thousands of sounds on deck all the time, then you want like a workstation or a synthesizer. That's what those keyboards are for. Hey, if you want, something that's going to, you can hit your chords, and the keyboard's going to play along with you and have the band and stuff in the background, then you probably want an arranger keyboard. So you want to be looking at the Yamaha PSR series, or the Genos, or the PA something or other for the Core. I don't play arranger keyboards, so I don't know as much about those as I do some of the other keyboards. You want to be looking at an arranger keyboard, because a lot of times when people are comparing this keyboard to other keyboards, they're comparing it to keyboards that aren't necessarily in the same category as this keyboard. A keyboard that's in the same category as this would be like the Yamaha, the CP series, and the RD 2000, stage pianos. The Nord, the Korg Grand is another stage piano. They're in the same category. The Kawai, has some stage pianos. They're in the same category as this. Decibel in the same category as this. And so when you're comparing this to other keyboards, you're going to compare it to stuff that's actually in the same category. Yes, you can find keyboards that do more than this, but there are keyboards like digital pianos that do less. They have, a few piano sounds, and pretty much that's it. A few EPs, maybe a few strings and the pads, and that's it. But those keyboards are just like digital pianos, and their whole thing is going to be for the piano player and making sure that the keys and stuff feel like you're actually playing a real piano and stuff like that. And they want the most effective piano sounds ever, and they kind of leave everything else out. And so you want to compare it to things in its same category. Is it easy to use? Once you get used to it, once you learn the different knobs and stuff like that, yes, indeed, it is very easy to use, but it is most certainly not for everyone. So I advise you to do your research. Don't just listen to the sound of the Nord and say, wow, I really like the sound, and then go out and buy one and then be disappointed when you can't make a drum beat because it doesn't have any drums on the board. So just got to make sure that you are making an informed buying decision. But it's very easy to use. You learn the different sections. Everything is right in front of you. Everything is real-time, tweakable, so on and so forth. Now, of course, sound-wise is a matter of opinion. You know, do you like the sounds of the grand piano in the Nord versus the Korg versus the Yamaha versus the Roland? A lot of stuff is just people's, various opinions. I happen to like the grand pianos and the organ sounds in the Nord better than any other keyboard that I own. But then when it comes to acoustic sounds and stuff like that, I like the sounds of the Yamahas that I owned. When it comes to electric pianos, then I like the Korg. So I'm kind of all over the place depending on what sound you're talking about. But this is a stage piano. It excels at being a stage piano and getting the job done as far as that is concerned for the live player. So thank you for sticking with me in this video. Thank you so much for watching and joining me here. Hopefully you have a little bit better understanding of how the Nord works, or specifically the Nord Stage 3. If you are thinking about making a buying decision, you do want to make an informed one. It's not for everyone, but for the people who are looking for those nice meat and potato sounds and want good organ sounds and stuff like that, look no further. The Nord Stage 3 might actually fit the bill. And with that, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video.